gym owners and fit pros, member journey. Okay, one of the things that we get wrong in this industry is our approach to onboarding, and I think there's so much talk about retention, member journeys and onboarding, and I think most people really have a pretty decent idea of what we should be doing, and yet we still don't do it. If you ask clubs, do you induct people, they'll tell you yeah they do, and you look at data and they don't. Very, very small percentages do. If they do induct, what does that induction look like and what does it entail? There's a lot of places where when they do induct, really it's a young fitness instructor, which isn't a problem in and of itself, but that instructor is fairly disengaged and quite untrained, unsure, and based on experiences of lots of inductions, disengaged from the process and what they should do. So for me, onboarding is really important. The best place to look at this is in like software as a service and stuff like that. When you look at, because there's better data, fitness industry is quite poor for data. We'd be on the sort of late adopters, laggards end of the diffusion of innovation model. So when you look at software as a service where it's technology based, data's quite good, one of the big things that they're trying to do is get people to use the product quickly, because the quicker they start to use it, the more likely they are to use it and to keep using it, and the more frequently they can use it, again, the more likely they are to see the benefits of it, come to terms with how to use it. If you use something once and then don't use it for a month and then once again, maybe not for 3 months, you never figure it out. You never learn the tips, the tricks, the things that will make it valuable to you and what you're trying to achieve. And all of that same logic transfers over to fitness, right? So getting people in the gym, you need to get them in for the first time. That's the first big trick, and that's a big benefit of having an induction. And I'm not saying you call it induction. I personally like to frame it as a free PT session where we'll write a program for you. So you've got a choice. I call this the mechanics pitch. You got a choice. Okay, are you a fitness professional? Have you got any fitness qualifications? No. All right. Look, your car's broken. You want to fix it up, make sure it's reliable and gonna last you the course of its life cycle. So you've got the MOT tomorrow. You know it needs some things doing to it. Do you want to do it yourself? Figure it out from books, read up on it, watch some videos, etc., and then fix it yourself, completely uncertain of specifically what you should do? Or do you want to have someone that does this for a living, a mechanic, do it for you and for free? Now, anyone in their right mind is going to take having someone else do it for them and for free. Why wouldn't you? There's exactly the same logic applies to the human body and to fit pros, okay? Fitness professionals, you are mechanics for the human body, and muscle gain, fat loss, etc. is easy for you. This is what you do day in, day out, and it's simple. You know all of the common fallacies, you know what works, you've done it, you've seen it done, and you've got belief. Whereas the average joiner of a gym, maybe they've exercised before, but they haven't necessarily got the same experience and knowledge. And lots of them will say they have. They'll say they don't need an induction, etc. But you ask them, and you ask them some common questions, what's best for fat loss? And they'll tell you it's running on a treadmill and these kind of things. So inductions are really important because it gives you an opportunity to signpost the activities that individual needs to do to achieve their goals, whatever it is. It might be fat loss, muscle gain, body recomping, essentially. There might be other goals. It might be stuff that's more related to things like longevity in more senior members, as an example, health, rehabilitation, There's lots of other goals beyond body recomposition, but the average response is body recomp, let's be honest. So there's that. There's also the fact that a lot of people join clubs, sat on the sofa at home, and they never actually go into the club. They quit before they ever make it in, which is crazy, but it's true. You know, something happens, they get some motivation, they're sat there, right, I'm definitely going to do this tomorrow. That magic word, I'll start tomorrow. And diets always start tomorrow, never today. Routines always start tomorrow, never today. So there's all of that jazz. And then it comes to it, and something happens, you know, bad day at work, partner pisses them off, whatever, and I can't go today. Maybe they're scared, you know. It takes on average 2 years for someone to get the courage and motivation to join and go to the gym. And think about that. That's 2 years of getting to that point where they know they need it, but not being able to work up the motivation. So having an induction where you've got a set day, a set time, and some accountability because they've booked an appointment is really good for driving people into the club that might otherwise have just stayed at home on the sofa and not done what they needed to do to get in. So that's a benefit. Then you've got a fitness professional that can discuss with them, what are they trying to achieve? Why do they want to achieve that? Is it realistic? Which is the big one, right? How many people want to lose 3 stone by next month? So you can calibrate expectations with their program, things they like and dislike, any contraindications or injuries that they've got, and make sure that everything that you're planning for them is going to fit within their lifestyle, and you know, you can push them on a bit or pull them back a bit as required. Some people want to go too hard, some people don't want to work hard enough, etc, etc. So there's a lot of benefits to the induction. Then we have the fact that they are making a connection at that club. So they know now one of the instructors. Maybe they see the salesperson that signed them up, or someone at reception. They've now met someone else or reinforced some rapport that was built previously. All of which is good for us, for that member's journey, onboarding, etc. Now they meet the Fit Pro, they have a good experience, it's a positive experience. If you let the average non-exerciser join your facility and they come in on their own, on average, they're going to jump into the cardio or weights. They're going to do a workout that's too hard for their first time, especially cardio, which is what everyone thinks they need to do. Jump on a treadmill, run for 5, 10, 15 minutes, dying, really out of breath, sweating profusely. They're embarrassed, it's harder than they thought it would be maybe. There's people around them, they feel like they're being watched, everyone's judging them. They know what they're doing, I don't. They all know each other, they all seem to, you know, be regulars. I'm the standing out new person. Their clothes are better than mine. I've just grabbed some random t-shirt they're all wearing Gymshark. There's all these kind of fears magnified by stuff. I don't know where the lockers are. Do I need a 20p pound coin? Bring my own padlock? All this kind of stuff. There's a lot of things. People are trying to avoid pain. They're trying to avoid looking stupid. Pain doesn't have to be physical. It can be mental. So all these fears of looking bad, not knowing how things work, etc., all are off-putting. Well, if you've got a good sales team that have given a lot of information about where to go, what to do, X, Y, Z on a tour if the member had one, but then you get them into an induction, now your fitness instructor or your PT gives them the same kind of info with some more fitness based information as well, awesome. Now you've reinforced it. Remember, the average person retains 20% of what they hear, okay? And if they're on an induction and you're teaching them a workout program, they're going to hear quite a lot of information, a lot of new stuff. So it makes sense that you reinforce stuff as much as possible to help them with that retention. The other thing that helps is telling someone something means they're using the auditory system for learning what they hear. If you can also show them with images, you might write out the program or do it digitally and show them and talk them through. The program card might have stuff on there about rate of perceived exertion, RPE or reps in reserve, and static stretches, dynamic stretches. The more information like that you have available visibly, on posters, whatever, so that you can talk them through it, show them, and then let them feel it as well, kinesthetics, so get them to try that dynamic stretch or static stretch, etc. The more you can tick all three of the auditory, visual and kinesthetic boxes, the better. And that's something to be focused on. Build your program card so you've got some static stretches for cool down and for post cool down, and some dynamic stretches for warm up. Put on there about heart rate training zones, rate of perceived exertion, the talk test, and put it on in tables. And now it's signposting your instructors for what they need to do, and it's giving them a tool whose utility can be to reinforce visually. So all of these things matter and make a difference. Now they're in the induction, you build them a program, you make it something suitable to their goals, you focus on things they like, but really at the beginning bit, the focus has got to be on, for the new to exercise, which is what we're really talking about, the primary focus has got to be on attendance and behaviour change. It's got to be. So, behaviour change. We want people to adopt exercise as a lifestyle for the long term. That's a change in behaviour. Now, that's not easy, number one, okay, because you're asking them to add in something into their day that takes time, that is hard work, makes them feel uncomfortable. It's a fact. It's a lot easier, as an example, to change behaviour that requires you to not have dessert after dinner, for most people, right? It's a lot easier to not eat something than to go and work off the equivalent calories and fit that into your day regularly. So this is the toughest sort of end of the spectrum of behaviour change, but it's an important one. So when you get new members on board, most fitness professionals are busy trying to make programs for their members that are totally results orientated, i.e. this person wants to achieve X, this is the perfect roadmap. If you were putting a professional sports person that was starting at this point, which might be lower than a professional sports person, but someone that you know they're going to do everything they're instructed, cross all the T's, dot all the I's, not miss a step. This is how you get there. And the problem with that is it's not realistic. It's the same thing as building in all of your periods with your mesocycles and all of that jazz. Ultimately, all that stuff gets ruined. So at the beginning, for the new to exercise or people returning to exercise, we need to focus on behaviour change. And one of the ways to do that, firstly, is to preempt the negative. Tell them it's hard, tell them that it's to expect to fail, to miss some workouts, blah blah blah. You ask someone when they first come in the gym, how often are you going to exercise? And they'll all I'm going to be in 5 days a week, or the least I think I've ever heard is 3, right? Which is still common. A lot of people say 3 times a week, but it's normally 3, 5, 6, 7. It's all crazy and it's undeliverable. Why are we going to take someone that couldn't be bothered to exercise, and now all of a sudden they can manage doing 5, 6 days a week, fit it into their busy schedules around their families? It's unrealistic. Instead, slow and steady wins the race, right? You want to build up to that. Now, my position is I always talk them down. If you've ever studied anything about behavior change and motivational interviewing and all of that jazz, you ask them, how often do you think you will work out, or how often do you want to work out a week, or do you plan to work out a week, or however you phrase it. You're asking them to tell you, you're not telling them. And then working off of that information, obviously you need to do that about a whole bunch of things in order to understand what works for them. When do you think you can start? You don't tell them to start. When do you think you can start? How confident are you? And why did you pick that number and not something else, etc., etc., right? So you get all the information that you need, but I'm always talking them down. Look, you've told me 3 times a week. Now, that's a brilliant start, to be honest. You're going to see really good results with that, but I feel like it's a little high. What I want to know is, what's the number that you will stick to, even if work goes to pot, you've got huge deadlines, something goes wrong at home? What is your non-negotiable? I commit to myself that if there's an asteroid coming to crash into the earth, I'm still gonna stick to it. And for me, I think a good place to start at is 1, but 2 at most. I think honestly 1 is a great start, and we focus on 1, and then give them 6 weeks of doing it once a week and achieving that, and then great, step them up to 2. But I'd keep them at 2 longer. I might let someone go from 1 to 2 in 6 weeks, but I'd keep you at 2 for a good 2 or 3 months, because then there's a much higher probability that you sustain it. Remember, you try and do this quick, you'll drop it just as quickly. You build up. There's nothing better than having someone in the gym do a workout, leaving and thinking, God, I wish I'd done more. I feel like I could do more. Why is he holding me back? Why is that pro not letting me do more? Or, God, I've only gone once this week, I want to do more. Listen, if they want to come more than once, great, go another time. But don't go 5 or 6 times, because it will become so much that it puts you off. You're better just doing the once, genuinely, or the twice, because then you will have a hunger for it. That helps motivate you into your next session, whereas you might have felt depleted of motivation, fed up, I can't be bothered, I haven't got it in the tank. So keeping a bit of hunger is a good thing, because it means you're more likely to go when you're meant to go. So limit the times, but when you say you're going to go that once a week, you got to go. And don't say once a week, be specific about it. What day and what time, okay? And then you go no matter what. But sometimes no matter what's turned into, you didn't make it on that Monday at 7 o'clock, but you made up for it by going Monday evening instead of 7 o'clock in the morning, or you made up for it on Tuesday, etc. So you've got these are my rules, I do it no matter what, but you also set up that latitude. I know sometimes things go wrong, and I go in on this day. To support that behavior change, you also agree that, listen, sometimes things really go wrong, so this is what we're going to do. Some days you cannot make, you just haven't got it in you for whatever reason, right? You're not a robot. So we agree that on those days when you truly cannot bring yourself to work out, but you're committed to work out, but you know you're not going to, and you're at risk of going home and sitting on the couch, our agreement is, instead, you will go into the gym, park, get out the car, take your bag, and you're going to walk into the gym with all your stuff as you normally would, and then you are going to agree a place with them. For me, I normally pick like the first treadmill, or there's a spot on the wall, like print out a handprint and a poster, right? Something that reinforces, today I still built the habit, and a hand image that they can go and touch. You say, on those days you don't come in, you still come in. So yes, you didn't come in to work out, but you've come in, you've touched the handprint or the treadmill or the belt, and guess what? You're one step closer. You're beating those people on the couch. You still built the habit of going to the gym, and that's a great tool if you can get them to commit to that. I also believe that when you build out your programs and stuff, if you can have a signature where you have, and some of this can be printed onto like program cards, etc., or a mini contract, but you lay out the expectations, you build in that behavioural change stuff, what you're agreeing to is the minimums, and then you sign it, and what you're going to do to support them, and they sign it, and that can help reinforce some of that stuff. But that's some tools that they can have to help adopting exercise for the long term. You reduce the amounts they do, you create non-negotiable minimums, you plan for failures when they don't meet those minimums and give them alternatives that, for example, they either come in and they're going to touch it anyway, so they still built the habit, but they'll come in the next day and do the workout or whatever, however you agree that. And then the next step to support that behavioural change is that when you're building them a program, build in self-directed undulating periodization. And what I mean by that is, if the average program is built, it only is a line. If we've got a continuum of how their weekday, their strong day, and the program's somewhere in between the two, right? That program is fixed, and what that means is some days they feel weaker or less able, and that program would be too hard for them. And other days they feel really good, and that program's not enough to push them to what they're capable of. So what you want to do is build in a range. Don't tell them you got to do one set of 15 reps, because on the days that they don't achieve it, they'll feel like they've failed. If they have failures early on, before they've adopted, activity for the long term, then that might put them off ever coming back. If instead you build in a range, and you say you're going to do 1 to 2 sets of 15 to 20 reps, and you make sure you set the weight for them, checking that it's the right quantity to be able to achieve that. Now you say, look, on your best days, do as many of the sets and reps as you feel able at the weight, and heck, if you can manage all of it, then you can increase the weight or add another set, etc. On the days you feel weak, do less sets, do less reps, lower the weight. All that matters is that you're doing the exercise, you're turning up. That's the first tick box. That's challenge 1. Well done. Next level of the video game, you do the workout. Amazing. Next level is how much of the workout you do. But there's some good research on undulating periodization, where you do a range of workouts, high intensity, low intensity, mid intensity, and that can have some good benefits. When you then couple that with the need to drive behavior change, the fact that you're allowing people to direct their own workouts so that they always win and they never have to walk away from the gym judging themselves is really positive. So building programs with that 1 to 2 sets, 2 to 3 sets, 3 to 4 sets, 15 to 20 reps, 10 to 15 reps, etc., etc. That is all going to really help that new member journey. So, the benefits of an induction. I prefer to call it something else. You call it an induction, it will put people off. Free PT session where they'll write you a program, I love. The mechanics pitch about how, do you want to change your own carburetor, or do you want a mechanic to do it for you for free? Great, that's what our fitness professional is going to do for you. That's the purpose of this session. Go tell them any injuries you've got, any challenges you've had, what you like, what you don't like, how your lifestyle is, and they'll give you the best program that can quickly economically, safely get you to where you want to go, and they'll give you the education you need to do it. So we get them into the induction. There's a set day, set time, set person. If you do this well and have your booking system set up with rolling rotors, etc., you know who's working when, then the person at point of sale that's booking that appointment can say to them, great John, I'm gonna you work out when the best appointment time is for them, alternative close them into an appointment. Do you like weekdays or weekends for your one-to-one? Weekdays, great. Morning, afternoon or evening? Evening, great. I've got Wednesday or Thursday? Thursday. I've got 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Great. 7 p.m. it's going to be with Mike. Mike is one of our longer serving PTs. Great guy. Do you know, funnily enough, actually, I signed someone up 3 months ago who came to say they were so grateful and glad that they had, because what he's done for them, they've already lost a stone, they're looking better, feeling better, loving life, etc. Now that validation and reinforcement is going to make that member feel really good about the fact that they're booked into the session, so they're more likely to attend. They're going to, there's some social proof there, right? You didn't say they're really good just of your own, but you put it in speech marks. You said someone else said they're really good, someone like them, and that they'd got results. So now that's further validation. If I tell you I'm really good at something, that doesn't mean as much as if a colleague tells you I'm really good at something. And that doesn't mean as much as if a member tells them something. So these are good ways to reinforce it, and a benefit of that reinforcement is that that member's now more likely to listen to the fitness professional. The more they listen, the more they follow the guidance, the more likely they are to achieve the results. So they go to the session, a fitness professional builds them a program. They do it in a way that supports that behavior change. They build out expectations to preempt the negatives around missing sessions, and they give them guidance as to what they should do and how they can react to that in order to improve their chances of behavior change for the long term. All of this stuff is going to add up to a better journey. They've made it another social connection in the centre. Now, Good Fit Pro is also going to introduce them to other members of staff and other members of the facility. So as they're going around, come and say hello to Jackie. She's been training here for 2 years. You can both talk about me behind my back about how you hate me, because she's also doing one of my programs. But I'm only joking. I think you're going to get on really well. Blah, blah. So you give them a chance to create more social connections. They're more likely to enjoy being there. Okay guys, that's a quick breakdown on what to do in inductions and why they're so valuable. This will improve massively the onboarding of those members, which will increase their visit frequency to your facility, how long they visit for, and ultimately therefore the lifetime value of that member.